Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me. In this video, I've decided to talk about redistribution, distribute and prefix lists, and lastly, route maps. Now to do this, I created an EIGRP routing domain, which is attached to our OSPF Area 0 backbone, and I've used the autonomous system number 1528 in creating these adjacencies. I've also created a new subnet, the 2001 E8 subnet, which is dedicated to this access layer, and the 2001, 2, 3, 4 subnets that are located in this access layer as well. I would like for you to also make note that the subnets, the internal private unique local IP version 6 subnets for area 1 and this EIGRP routing domain are identical. I did this on purpose because I want us to review how to mitigate this issue when redistributing from one protocol into another protocol. Let's take a look at the routing tables for router 10, router 4, and router 1 for a second. Let's see how they're all behaving, okay? So we're going to go on to router 3, and if I do a show IP route, EIGRP, oh, that's edge 1, sorry, router 3. So show IP route, EIGRP. You can see that I am correctly receiving the IP version 4 EIGRP updates because he's pertaining to the correct EIGRP AS routing domain. Okay. Now, I'd like to show you the equivalent of the IP version 6 address class. And as you can see, I'm receiving also the equivalent of these particular updates in IP version 6 via the link local addresses or the unique local addresses as well. Which I think are very important. Now, if I go on Acme Core 2, I will see the IP version 4 OSPF updates that pertain to Area 0 backbone. So I am correctly getting and receiving the default route that's being originated by this autonomous system border router. I'm also receiving the LSA type 3s that are being generated by this autonomous system border router, okay? And I'm also getting a correctly and beautifully subnetted access layer. So you can see how this is the IP version 6 version of the IP version 4, but you can see how the IP version 4 prefix lists are being correctly subnetted and properly announced into this backbone area, which is really nice. If we do a show IPv6 route OSPF, you can see that the equivalent of what I've just explained is seen in the IP version 6 address family. So again, I'm seeing the default route via IP version 6. I'm getting the intra-area LSAs, or sorry, the inter-area LSAs type 3s via the autonomous system border router. And I'm also getting a nicely, beautifully subnetted access domain prefixes. So this is exactly what we want to see. However, what's happening is that Acme Edge 1 is not receiving any routes that pertain to EIGRP AS58. Okay, so these prefixes that are currently within this routing domain are not being seen in Area 0 backbone. So we have a break in connectivity from this user in this VLAN who wants to get to this user in another VLAN that's in an EIGRP routing domain. So we can achieve this by doing redistribution. So I'd like to propose my configuration. Actually, you know what? Before I propose my configuration, let's have some fun. Let's go on to user in a VLAN 86 and see if he can ping the user in VLAN 65. So right now, if I do a show IP, you can see that, this is a VLAN 65, so let's try show IP. You can see that this is VLAN 86, and if I try to ping the user in VLAN 65, it expires. It does not work, and the reason is because we don't have redistribution. So this is a very good validation point for once we do redistribution, if we do have end-to-end connectivity between the two users in the various VLANs. So having said that, let's talk about my configuration for a moment. And we have to go on Acme Core 2. So a couple of things I'd like to key points to take away. This type of redistribution that we're going to be attempting to do is a redistribution in a bidirectional fashion. So this is a 1 point, okay, two-way redistribution. And what we're effectively saying with this configuration is, on Acme Core 2, is take the OSPF learned routes, okay, and redistribute them into the EIGRP updates with this seed metric. And we said the exact same thing for the IP version 6 address family as well under the EIGRP process. Take the OSPF version 3, IP version 6 prefixes that you've learned and redistribute them into the EIGRP IP version 6 routing updates with the seed metrics. Now, we go under the OSPF process and we do the reverse. We say redistribute the EIGRP prefixes that you've learned and redistribute them into OSPF with a seed metric of 20. And we do that with the IP version 4 and also the IP version 6 address family. So I would like to take this configuration. I'd like to copy it. I'm going to go on to Acme Core 2, and I'm going to apply this configuration. Looks good to me. All right, we're going to have to do a clear IP EIGRP neighbor and a clear IP EIGRP IP6 EIGRP neighbor. Let's do that. Okay, now let's go under EIGRP router 3 for a moment and show IP route OS EIGRP. And you can see now that the OSPF routes that were redistributed into EIGRP are now being identified as an external route. So redistribution into EIGRP is identified as an EX for external. And I believe that that is identified up here as well under the EIGRP process as X. There you go. External, EIGRP external. All right. So it says it there. Let's take a look at the IP version 6 routing table, EIGRP, and you can see that I am receiving also the equivalent of the IP version 6 address family as well. So we do have a symmetrical redistribution into the EIGRP routing domain. Let's take a look at Acme Edge 1 for a moment. And let's take a look at what we see here. Okay, and effectively what we're seeing is we're seeing the 172.16.64. All right, so we do have some room for summarization, which I do believe that we should definitely do. Okay, so that is a very key point. But what I'm noticing, I don't know if you see this, but what I'm noticing is that I'm not announcing these IP version 4 prefixes equivalent for this access layer. So I wonder if I'm not even announcing that in the configuration. So I'm just going to go show run begin router EIGRP. Okay, I don't even have the network command, so I'm not even announcing the 188.24.64 to 67 subnet yet. So as a result, that's the reason why I'm not seeing it in Acme Edge 1. Actually, you know what? Why don't we just do that right now? That'd be a good exercise to do. Okay, network 188.24.66. Sorry, 64. Very clear. Okay. I'm probably not doing it for IP version 6 either, but I'll make sure that that gets done. Let's just take a look. And there you go. So we do need to summarize here as well, because this is not very good. But as you can see, as soon as I added the network command on EIGRP3, Acme Edge 1 over here is now able to correctly see the subnets 188.24.67.0. So let's just double check if he's actually getting or receiving the IP version 6 EIGRP updates, because maybe I'm wrong. All right, so I hope you guys can appreciate that there's a lot going on in this routing table. And I hope you guys can see that effectively there's a lot of clutter, and this needs all to be fixed. All right, so bear with me here because we're going to do this all together. But yes, oh, so he is receiving, right? He is receiving the OSPF update, which is the redistributed IP version 6 EIGRP update. So we can see that that's actually happening. So I am actually summarizing and announcing on EIGRP router 3, which is a good thing. It was just the IP version 4 that was missing. We can see that being redistributed into the area. It's arriving on Acme Edge 1, and it has the seed metric of 20. Okay, now it's always best practice to set the seed metric to a value that's greater than the largest metric within the autonomous system. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, organically or natively originating in this area backbone 0, the seed metric was 1. Okay, but when you're redistributing, it's always best practice to set it at a value greater than the largest metric in your autonomous system. All right, now what I would like to do now is I'd like to actually begin summarizing these routes. So I'm going to go on to Acme Core 3, okay, and I'm going to propose this configuration right here. All right, so what I'm going to do is this is EIGRP, sorry. So under the EIGRP table process on router 3 in the EIGRP routing domain, I'm going to apply this configuration to summarize the 188.24.64 at an IP version 4 level. That way I can shrink that table. So let's just do that. Router EIGRP dual. Oh, I have to put the address family. So it's not going to like it if I don't. Perfect. Let's do a nice clear IP EIGRP neighbors. We just did it at the IP version 4 level. And I believe I'm already doing it at the IP version 6 level. So let's just take a look here. And you can see that I am already have applied that configuration. I just did not have it applied on the IP version 4. So if I go on Acme Edge 1, it looks like I've lost that route. Let's just go over here for a second. And we'll do it at an IP version 4 level. Oh, it's come back up. Do you see it? It popped up there. There you go. It's back. If I do a show IP route OSPF version 3, you can see now that the 188.24.64 is now properly summarized in a /22, which is exactly what we want. This is perfect.